Hi everyone, welcome back to my page. Of course, this week I'm going to discuss the healthy attachment style because all in all, that's where it's at. That's where we want to be. That's where if you were someone who had a healthy attachment style and through trauma or a bad experience or relationship, you have now gone towards more anxious style or avoidance style, then you want to get back to the secure, healthy attachment style. And we need to be able to spot these individuals who are healthy and secure when it comes time for us to choose a partner. And what is it that we look out for? So if you've discovered your attachment style from the previous two videos and you know what you're dealing with, then we need to look at how to be secure, how to get there, and things that we need to look out for in our potential partners. If you haven't been to my page, welcome. I'm Hamasa. I look at personal development as well as mental and emotional well-being and just day-to-day issues. Please do subscribe to my page so that you're up to date with all my weekly content. So I'm going to jump into this kind of attachment style. Like I said in my previous videos, your attachment style isn't a life sentence. It doesn't mean that just because you're one kind of attachment style that this is what you're stuck with and this is what you've just got to learn to manage. No, it's if you understand your attachment style or you see the patterns in the way you behave in relationships, whether they are platonic or your partner, whichever relationships, if you find the same kind of things annoy you or you get triggered by, then most likely you are a certain type of, like if there's a pattern to anything, then it falls under a category. And if you spot this pattern and see what it resonates with more, be it avoidant or anxious, then you kind of know what you're dealing with. And we want to be not there. We want to get to the secure attachment style because really, that's the best way to move forward. It's basically being fulfilled, wholesome, and complete all by ourselves. And so our attachment style comes across in that secure way. I'm good with or without you, but you make my life happier, so I want you around. But there's nothing that I need you for. I don't need validation from you. I don't need soothing from you. I don't need you to make me happy. It's not your job. I can do all of that by myself, but it just adds a nice bonus having you around. That's the difference. And that's the kind of partner that we also want to look for. Because if you're all healthy and happy and wholesome, but you meet someone who isn't, then chances are that that's not really going to work out either, or they're just going to drag you down, or you're going to have to teach them the right way, and all of these things that mostly people say when they don't know how to treat you, and you speak up your mind's like, oh, I'm so sorry I hurt you, can you teach me how to be treating you? Well, no, you should either know how to treat me, or if you don't, then you should move away. So where does a secure attachment style stem from? Like all the other attachment styles, it comes from your primary caregivers. As children, there are three things that we are programmed to be fearful of. And these are fear of loud noises, fear of falling, and fear of abandonment. And abandonment doesn't mean physically your parent left you and left. Abandonment could also mean emotional abandonment. So from a young age, we are programmed to be fearful of these three things. Now, if one of these things weren't met and weren't consistent and you didn't feel secure in, then of course that will affect your perception of what security, trust, safety, and these things mean as an adult. So if it's more so the proportions and the ratios of how consistent love was given to you. So let's say you, I've mentioned this before in my previous videos, it doesn't mean that you're not in a loving home, you are. But when it comes to your emotions getting validated and a parent being present, making you feel like being helpless is okay, being vulnerable is okay, you're still good, you will still be loved, you will still be protected, taken care of, supported, regardless of how you feel. If you cry, if you express your emotions, you're really excited, that will not affect the way your parent treats you. So you've had this security from a young age. And so when you grow up, you overall become secure and understand that making yourself vulnerable or opening up or letting your guard down doesn't mean that you'll get abandoned or that you don't deserve love and validation and affection. But what happens with people who don't get that from a young age, or the proportion of it is much less? So one day you do something amazing and you get acknowledged and you get put on a pedestal and you're great. And then the next day you do the same thing and you're told that you're wrong. And how could you do that? And you made a mistake and you're an awful person. So therefore it was an inconsistent show of affection, inconsistent protection, inconsistent security. And therefore it's taught you that being vulnerable or being helpless is not okay. It's not safe. You don't have someone that will constantly be there and protect you regardless of what's going on. You don't have someone that will love you if you're not performing your best. So this is where it stems from. And someone who's been validated and, not all parents are perfect. Of course, they have weaknesses and times and places that they can't be present, but predominantly your upbringing and childhood has been quite loving, secure, and consistent and present. So if we are in a place where we're secure and we're healthy in our attachment style, we then need to start looking for those qualities in the partners we choose. And how do you spot that in someone else? You will get a gist of or a feeling of what this person's like as you start getting to know them and spend time with them. Obviously, the first thing to do is not to ignore the red flags that are evidently there. So if there are red flags going on, then please pay attention to them. They're not going to go away. That's the person showing you who they truly are, and you just don't want to see that. So if you see that, understand. But if there aren't many red flags, but you can't yet know for sure what their attachment style is then for you to keep an eye out and see what triggers them. Do they get triggered a lot? If they do get triggered, then how heated is it? Is it from 0 to 100, or is it a little bit of annoyance, then they get over it? Are they able to express how they feel? Are they sure of their emotions and their thoughts on situations? The key here to look out for in this person is balance. Nobody's perfect, so don't have that expectation. A secure, healthy attachment style doesn't mean that they won't make any mistakes or they will get everything right. No. It means that if they give, they can also take. It's a two-way street. If they could be vulnerable, then they can also be supportive when you're vulnerable. If they're expressing their feelings, they're also very open to listen to how you feel and not take that as offense or criticism. They're able to help and be generous, but at the same time, they're not people pleaser or they're not pushover. They're overall quite wholesome. They have compassion, but they're not, like I said, a pushover. They give advice, they're knowledgeable, they're kind, and they can really see things from different perspectives, but at the same time, they can receive advice. They can admit when they're wrong, they can take responsibility for their actions. And this is the kind of thing that you get to know by spending time with someone and seeing them in different situations, for example, when it comes to arguments or adversity. Because when things are good, everybody always comes across amazing. Everybody's fun, everybody's having a good time. So you cannot judge people on when you are having a good time or when things are good. You need to start looking for signs when things are not good. So you're going through a bump in the road, you're going through a bad patch or an argument, or not necessarily between you two, but from outside sources, and that's when they show their true colors. So you need to see how they handle these situations and whether they understand and preserve a good balance of things. Again, don't look out for perfection. They will have their moments, they will snap, they will flip out, but can they take ownership of that? Can they take responsibility? Can they deal with it afterwards? And if they can, then they're quite secure in themselves, and therefore you're not going to have future issues in either reassuring them or trying to get them to open up. They're quiet, like they can be open and communicative about things that bothers them or things that they're happy about. So it gives you no room to guess things and play games and not know where you stand, which is what we need to look out for. So we discussed the 3 attachment styles. Next week I want to look at the dynamic between the avoidant and anxious, because it's a very key note, because it's a very interesting dynamic that seem to just attract each other, and yet they're quite toxic for each other. So we need to look at why that happens, things to look out for, signs that you're in a situation like this, and how to deal with it. If you've enjoyed this, please do like and comment on this, subscribe to my page so that you're up to date with my next week's video, and I hope to see you guys here again soon. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.